If this is your first time growing watermelon, you might be wondering, how do I know when my watermelon is ready to pick? I'm going to show you exactly that today. So before we even go into your watermelon patch, whether it be a garden or a field on a farm, you need to know two things. You need to know what variety your watermelon is and how long it's been planted. So it's important to keep really accurate records so that you know, A, is it even time for these watermelons to be ready? And then B, depending on the variety it is, what should I be looking for? Different varieties can present in different ways, but I'm going to show you a few tips and tricks for most melons that you could grow. So the first type of melon we're going to look at is a striped seedless melon. And so specifically this variety is Cracker Jack, but there's lots of similar varieties out there. So here we have a nice Cracker Jack watermelon. So the first thing that I'm looking at is the tendril. So the tendril is this little finger here, and that's technically what makes this plant a vine. If a plant has this tendril here to help it climb, it's a vine. And then here, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna find the stem of the watermelon and follow the stem to the vine. And we wanna see that the closest tendril to this stem here is brown, crunchy, looks dead, kind of like E.T.'s finger. Or it might be completely missing, and you'll see that this is brown and crunchy there because it broke off. And that's a good indicator that this melon is either ready or really close to being ready. On a striped melon, we're gonna see that the stripes are completely separated and there's good spacing in between it. We're gonna look for a really dull color. So you can see this melon is not shiny at all. We want that melon to be really dull in color. We're gonna flip the melon. Now it's really important that you go through those first steps first, because once you touch this melon, you kind of rub this natural sunscreen off, and there's a good chance that that melon will sunburn now. And so you don't want to touch your melon unless it has passed the first couple inspections, the tendril and the color and the stripes being separated. And so now that we're ready to touch it, as we roll it, we're going to feel, did that feel heavier than it looks? I call it the medicine ball effect. And so I kind of pick up on it and say, man, you know, that melon actually does feel a lot heavier than it looks. That's a good sign. And as we roll it over, we're gonna see the best indicator, and that's our field spot. Now, every variety is created different on the field spots. And so, you know, our variety descriptions don't always have a good description of how dark the field spot should be. So it kind of comes with experience. But I've grown the Cracker Jack before, and I know that this is a really, really good field spot for this variety. And so what we're looking for typically is the darker gold or yellow, the better. But again, if it's a lighter colored variety, it won't be as dark. If it's a darker colored variety, you want it really, really dark. So we're gonna go ahead and pick this one and cut it open and see how we did. It's always really important that we do use a cutting tool, whether it be a knife or clippers, to cut your melons. You don't wanna try to twist that stem off. You can really damage your vines that way. As I'm carrying this one, it is just further confirmation because it's very heavy. Again, it's very heavy compared to its size. This is a Cracker Jack, so it is a nice medium-sized seedless watermelon, which we have a big market for here on the farm. All right, here we go, the Cracker Jack. Oh, that one's cutting really good. That's the kind of melon we want right there. Can't cut a good melon open without taking a bite. Doesn't get any better than that, y'all. So the next one we're gonna look at is what would be called a black watermelon. And these are those watermelons that are really, really dark green in color. And in my opinion, they're the easiest to pick and the easiest to know when they're ready. All right, so we found a nice black watermelon. Again, some people would call this a black diamond. This is actually a newer variety. You can see it's got this little variegation in the melon. The leaves actually have it too. There's nothing wrong with it. That's the way it's supposed to look. But again, I said these are the easiest to know. First thing we're gonna look for on these black watermelons is the absence of all striping. You can see when they're younger, you can actually see the stripes on them. These have no stripes on them whatsoever. The color is dull. It's not shiny. We want to see that. That looks good. We're going to check our tendril here, and you can see right here that tendril. Actually, that's not even it. It looks like the tendril has completely broken off, which is a great sign. This was probably it right here. Great sign. No tendril whatsoever. So as we go to kind of move it around, we can feel it's very, very heavy. Oh, there's the tendril right there. See, it was hiding from us. But you can see nice and brown and crunchy. And then I say that these are the easiest because that field spot is just so easy to spot. Nice golden color. This is going to be a really, really good watermelon here. Always use a cutting utensil. Don't try to rip it off. For the wow factor, let's cut this one in the field. Just the way it cuts, I can feel that it's gonna be really good. Listen for the crack. Ha ha ha! Delicious. That is a beautiful black watermelon. Of course, with watermelon, the true test is always flavor. That right there is the sweetest watermelon I've had all year. All right, the final melon that we're gonna take a look at is our seeded watermelon. This is gonna be your big, green striped, red in the center, of course. They also have yellow and orange ones, but they're going to have seeds in them. Now, oftentimes you'll hear me refer to our seeded melons as our pollinizer melon because it's doing just that. To raise really, really nice seedless melons, we need to grow a pollinizer with it. Now, for us, because we're in the retail business, it makes more sense for us to grow a seeded melon to help pollinate the seedless. But some guys who don't have a market for those seeded melons will also grow a pollinizer melon. It's just a melon that produces a small, inedible, I mean, you can eat it, but it's not, it's not gonna hurt you, but it doesn't have any flavor or taste, and it's just really good at producing male flowers to help pollinate the seedless. Let's find one of those big striped seeded melons that passes all the tests. All right, we found one. Got real nice separation on the stripes. Got a nice dead tendril. We also, on this end, starting to sink in on the end. Check our field spot. Real nice field spot on that melon. Let's crack it open. All right, let's get a drum roll. Cutting the melon one-handed here, so don't judge me on how straight my cut is. Whew, did y'all see that juice come out of that thing? Oh yeah. Perfection. Beautiful. Cut this one here. Sweet, 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 sweet. Cut another big piece of it here, show y'all. That's what we're looking for there. Juicy and sweet. So I'm going to show you a few examples in a younger melon field here of melons that might appear ready to someone who maybe hasn't picked a lot of ripe watermelons, but I'm going to show you why they're not ready. So the first couple I'm going to show you here are black varieties. These specifically are blackjack. And so first off, right when we walk up, and I hope you can see this in the camera, we can actually still see some striping. And so for our black varieties, from at least all of them that I know of, you shouldn't be able to see that. the melon should appear dull. It should be very dull in color, and you shouldn't be able to see any of the stripes in these black ones. You can see the tendril here. This is the tendril actually. You want to follow the stem down to the vine. This is a separate vine. So this is our tendril here that's closest to our stem of our melon, and it's still very much pliable, still very much has green color. We want to always avoid touching melons until we think that they're ready, but for the sake of the video, I'm going to show you, right? On these black melons, our yellow spot should be deep, dark, almost a gold color, not even close. So that's a really good example of a melon that is not ready, but to someone who's never picked a melon might think it's ready. So again, here's another one that we could still very much see striping in it. We don't want to see that. If we go here, we're going to follow the stem down. The tendril is still very much green, very much pliable. We roll it over, right? We want to see a deep, dark gold color spot on that melon. Not ready yet. Let's find a striped melon, and I'm going to show you what to look for to know that the melon is not ready. Okay, ignore the coyote claws here. So first we see that the non-stem end, the other end, is not sunk in yet. We're going to look for this part of the melon to actually be concaved in. That hasn't happened yet. Now, what's interesting is that these stripes have actually separated, but we can see here that's not ready yet. The stem, we're going to follow the stem here and find the tendril. Tendril is still very much green and pliable, and then our yellow spot is not real definite under there, and so you know that melon still has a couple weeks. So that striped melon we just looked at, the stripes were separated. But again, the stripes being separated isn't the only thing that will tell us the melon is almost ready. We need to see all of the signs. Let's take a look at another example of a striped melon that you might think is ready, but it's not. The size is decent. It's a little small, but we don't go by size. You can see that the stripes, they actually haven't separated. Some of them are still very much touching there on the left side of the melon. Now the tendril on this vine is dead, and so that is one sign that it could be ready, but field spot doesn't look very good. So we really only have one sign that the tendril being dead. Again, we need all of the signs. So let's crack it open and see. It should not be ready. Yeah, definitely not ready. I mean, you could see, look at the rind. The rind is still super thick. It should be deep red. It's still slightly pink. It's not great. You could see some of these water spots up here we'd like to work out of the melon. So this melon still needs at least 10 days, 10 to 14 days, and it'll probably be perfect. You know, I'm not saying that watermelons should be the first on everyone's list to install in their garden. They take up a lot of space, and you know, typically 1 to 2 melons per vine is really good. You know, we'd like to see a little more than that. So they don't make sense in everyone's garden, but if you just love watermelon, they're definitely rewarding to grow. But you shouldn't get caught up on being frustrated if you don't know if they're ready or not. So as always, I greatly appreciate everybody watching this video. If you like the tips and want to see more videos like this with tips and tricks in it, make sure you leave a comment that says, "More tips, please." And don't forget to hit that subscribe button.